Hey everyone! Well, it is Tuesday and I have like 9 days left here, so I thought I would tell you what I did over the last weekend and what I've done the past few days, and this weekend was really exciting, so yay! This past weekend I went on a trip to Florence and Siena, and I stayed in Montecatini between the 2 days. So Friday I woke up and we drove 2.5 hours or so to Siena, which is like a city known for this like big horse race they put on once a year. And I don't know, it's just like I feel really dumb that I didn't really know much about Siena, but like Siena, like the red marble, like that is where that kind of comes from, if that gives you any clue about how important it is, I guess. Anyway, they're like these large hills and less traffic. It's a lot quieter city, and it was really nice. I had like the best food of my life this weekend. So in Siena, we asked, some friends and I asked like our tour guide where we should eat, and she told us about this restaurant called La Finestra, which is like behind like the big square, like piazza, and it was fantastic. I had these noodles called like pici, like P-I-C-I, and they're like hand rolled, like thicker noodles, and it was like with local like sheep's cheese and things, and it was awesome, and I died. It was perfect. And so after that we then drove to Montecatini. I made another mediocre map for you. Actually, it's the same one that I did before, but here's Rome. So here's Rome, and then we drove to Siena, and we stayed in Montecatini, and then we traveled to Florence. Montecatini is like a smaller town. It's like 20,000, I think. It's known for like being a spa town, so it's a lot quieter, and I wish we could have stayed in Florence, but it was probably like really expensive. Whatever, I don't care. I'll go back to Florence one day. Anyway, so we stayed there, and then we woke up on Saturday, and we went to Florence, which was absolutely beautiful, like just like the heart of like Italian culture, and it was, oh my god, there's just like so many great things, and leather stores and scarves, and it's like like Florence became like a huge, it's like the epicenter of like textiles back in the day, back with like the Medici family. And so it's just like a really good place to buy like leather and any kind of textile that you could imagine, like any kind of fabrics, whatever. So we did that and saw David, which was weirdly emotional because I'm dumb and I just get it. I like walked in, and like David in like the 1800s was moved from like the square where all like the political buildings are in Florence to Galleria dell'Accademia, and it's where he stands, and like there's really nothing else in this museum like that's really important. I guess it's like old important stuff, but it's like 11 euros to get in, but it was worth it. Like walking in, and then like you walk down like the first hallway, like you pay, then you walk in, and it's just like right there. And he was beautiful, and it was like to be able to walk 360 degrees around him, it was insane. Like the detail in just like his ligaments and veins that you could see through the skin, like the back leg of his left, like, yeah, the back of his left leg, you could see like the tendon that was like stretched, and it was so perfect and wonderful. And I don't know if I've ever seen anything more beautiful. I mean, in Rome, of course, a lot of beautiful things, and like the Sistine Chapel made me cry, but David kind of made me cry too, and it was wonderful. I loved it. And we also had, my friends and I, before David, we went to this like super authentic Italian restaurant. We asked once again our other tour guide like where the best place to go, like the only locals go. It was called like Nuvoli. And so like you walk in, and it's like this glass case that has like some appetizers, other things. The register on the other side, 2 feet from it, was a bar. And then you walk down steps into the basement, and there are like these like 4 long tables, but I mean it's not a big room at all. It was a very tiny like compact thing, and it was like of course well lit, and then like the walls were lined with wine bottles and like paintings and old photographs, and it was all kind of dusty, and it was just so Italian that I could vomit. It was awesome. And then I had some sort of eggplant thing. I don't know. The waitress spoke some English, but pretty much we just guessed in my limited vocab. I was able to figure out what we wanted to eat. So that was fantastic. And then, of course, had plenty of wine because it was Florence. Like, what else are you going to do? And then climbed like 460 steps to the top of the Duomo, which means like House of God. It's like the huge basilica there in Florence, which was also disgustingly wonderful. And then we went home, back to Montecatini, and then Sunday we woke up and we went to, it was like 2.5 hour drive to like the heart of Tuscany. And we went to a wine tasting at this winery, and I wish I could remember the name, but basically, like, even back, like in 1998, the woman, like Donatella, she decided, she like was in control of the winery, something. It was like her family's convoluted things. Anyway, she decided that she was going to like only hire like women scientists and people to like work with the crops, and basically this whole winery and was just like run by women, which is back then, even like in 98, apparently it was like, it's primarily like a male dominated area, and it's still not considered like a woman's job to, like, they can work in like the shops, and of course like they're there, but they aren't the people who are like testing the soil and figuring out like, you know, the chemistry and all of these like really cool scientific jobs. And she was just like, no, I'm gonna do it. So feminism, it was awesome, best wine ever, it was great. And we had food there and tried like 5 different wines or something. Needless to say, everyone on the trip like passed out like drunk little babies on the way home, which like took forever. The trip was awful long, but it's a really good week. I don't know if I don't know, like, since last weekend, or like weekend before, I went to Capri and everything, and Sorrento, and this time I was in Tuscany. It was like 2 different kind of experiences, and they're both really great, and I don't know which one I like more, but I don't know, it was cool, and it was really great to like actually go to like a real like Tuscan wine situation with like grapes growing everywhere, and like it was very rustic. And so the past few days I've been going at school, I have been going to some churches around and drawing things. And so yesterday I drew columns and arches, and like these things took me 1,500 years. I thought I was going to die. Anyway, I drew this like part of a column, and you can see like there are arches happening. It looks okay. It still took me like almost an hour to draw because it was awful, and perspective without a ruler is difficult, and life is hard. Drawing's hard, whatever. And so then my professor was like, don't be so detailed, like take a bigger step back or something. And so then I drew this one with like a whole bunch of different columns and the arches. This one was better, but whatever. And so then there was like this big like huge like spirally thing in the middle, and then I took some sanguine pencil and I did this, but I didn't finish it because it was time to get coffee and my brain was going to explode. So I have this thing. It's like, I don't even know what it is. It's just like spirally bits and then stone, and then like there's some jewels, and there's like a basin at the top. I don't know. And then today I went to another church, or outside the church, it was like Piazza Minerva, and so the church was like Minerva Cathedral. And so we had to like do ink wash, which is like terribly difficult, only because I didn't bring like extra like napkins, and it's just very haphazard because you're like sitting just like on steps or just like on the ground, and people are walking, and it's very difficult, but whatever. So I was sitting in front of like a lamppost, and she's like, make it look more like a picture, put what you're drawing and perspective and the atmosphere, like put it in a setting. And I'm like, okay, well I'm gonna die because it took me forever. This took me like an hour to do, but I made like, it's like the lamppost, and there was some cast irony bits. I didn't finish it because we were going inside the church, but a little ink wash, some pins and stuff, and I like it, but cast iron detail is really hard to do for me because my brain. And so when we went in this church, and there was a, I don't know if it's like famous but it's not super. Anyway, Michelangelo had made a Jesus holding a cross, in this church that we were in, and everything was like terribly dimly lit because of like all the old paintings and frescoes. Like it was so dark that some of the things in the different like culverts, like you couldn't even see the painting. And I was like, why am I here drawing if I can't see what I'm supposed to be drawing? Anyway, Jesus was cool, I guess, so I was in this other section, and I have no clue what I drew, but it was hard to see, and I didn't really finish it because it was time to leave. So, here's this guy, there's like light shooting this way, and so, man, I just don't even know. It's like an old pope. That's the pope hat. Or a hat. Do only the popes wear those hats? Because I feel like I see other things. Or people wearing kind of like that pokey hat. Like the pokey top hat. I don't know. So, that's what I did. I have to work on my final. I actually have homework. Kill me. But, okay. That's it. Nothing else exciting. So, I guess I will talk to you all later. Ciao!